I'm Monali Silva and I'm a third year fashion marketing student. I would describe my personal style as very edgy and experimental because I love expressing myself through the way that I dress. The concept behind my collection is based on toxic gender stereotypes in fashion and in society. And I wanted to create a brand that would cater to anyone and everyone, regardless their gender. And my launch collection was based mainly for menswear though, and concentrated for men. And the name of my brand is Kahun. It's derived from the Hawaiian language, kahuna, which stands for big wave. So my collection takes the silhouette inspiration. The inspiration behind the silhouette takes inspiration from the sea and the big waves, and even the colors are inspired by the beach tones. It's very muted but with a pop of color. And it's an ethical brand which was made by underprivileged women and without jobs, and all the yarns you see are handmade, and the denims are sustainably sourced from fabric waste. They were cutouts, and even the blue and the pink tops were made by hand. The yarns, it was cut from fabric and stretched out and patched it together. And yeah. My promotional items, there's a handmade bag and shoes. In the future, I hope to start my own small business with my own retail store. But before that, I would like to retail at concept stores around Colombo. And yes, I'm looking forward for it. Thank you.
David, and I'm a final year fashion design and marketing student. So my signature style has been changing throughout the years, but for this particular collection, I would describe it as experimental, colorful and bold. So my final major project. Is a women's athleisure brand. It was inspired by a hybrid of activewear and dance. So because of COVID, a lot of people have been doing home workouts and paying more attention to their physical health. And as a fashion marketing student, that really opened my eyes to the fact that we don't have a lot of locally produced activewear in the market. And it's because of this reason that I chose to do athleisure as my final major project. My brand is inspired by dance, so my brand name is FSSE, which is the abbreviation for the dance count 5, 6, 7, 8 that most dancers use before they start any routine. This particular brand is inspired by elements of Candian dance and disco. So my techniques were inspired by the lotus flower. I used the lotus flower, the different shades and hues of the lotus flower as my color palette inspiration, and the way the petals overlap each other, I used it as inspiration for the different layers of my garment. So I have different fabric layers on top of each other, and the lotus flower has waterproof properties, so I decided to use that in my garment as well and use taffeta fabric, which is a raincoat kind of fabric which is water repellent. In addition to that, I also used drawstrings to help change the silhouette size of the garments, and I also used a combination of contrasting colors so that the outer garment color and the inner garment color are completely different. As my main accessory, I decided to go with socks, because as a dancer you need to protect your feet. That's the most important thing. So socks help to keep your feet warm and regulate the blood circulation so you don't lose feet. So for my future plans, I would like to work in the business side of the industry. As a fashion marketing student, I've always been interested in the buying and selling part of the companies and the merchandising part, and helping to market a brand and sell its products is something that I'm really interested in. So that's what I see myself doing in the future.
My name is Shravinka Nagendra, and I am a fashion design and marketing student here at AOD. And I'm here to talk about my brand. So my signature style, well, the way I dress is very different to what I cater. So for me, I dress like a very chic, a casual chic, right? But what I cater is what I hope to, it's the way I speak to the world. It's my art, right? So it's my style of designing clothes and garments and my brand. It's very casual chic meets flamboyant power wear. So that is what my aesthetic when it comes to designing and my creation and my brand. My brand is actually called the House of Yes. And I got the idea from when people come into a store. I think store owners would understand. If they come into a store, they would want their customers to be like, I want to buy this, I want to buy that, right? So it's yes to the dress. So that's how I came up with the brand name, and I think it's very flattering in a way. So my brand, it's actually very personal to me this year. I've done multiple things before, but this year it connects me to my father. He and I had a love for rock and roll. So this is kind of like a tribute to him, but also something for me, which I personally love and enjoy. So let me tell you about my brand now. My brand is inspired by rock and roll, mostly from the eras from the 60s, 70s and 80s, where rock and roll was at its highest, like U2 and Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, you name it. So that's what my collection is called Revolution Collection. It's inspired by Prince and the Revolutions and the Rolling Stones. Because Charlie Watts passed away recently, so I kind of also dedicated it to him. And that is what it's about. My techniques when it comes to, so like I said before, it's about rock and roll. The techniques when I created my collection, I used a lot of velvet, as you can see here. I also want to incorporate leather, but my customer base is Sri Lankan. So Sri Lanka, if you wear leather here, it's humid, it will not go very well hand in hand. So I used a lot of velvet, sheer and net. Sheer, velvet and net are actually very important when it comes to rock and roll culture. Because if you go back in time and look at some album covers and stuff, you would see them wearing velvet leather jackets and velvet jackets, leather jackets, sheer, lots of neckwork, and so much more. For example, my jacket over here, it's called a record blouse. It's inspired by a record disc. And even this, if you look closely, the stitching, it's like the record when it's played on a vinyl player. It's like the marks that are left behind. That's why the stitching is very important for this. So a lot of sheer was used and chiffon. And my blouse over here, it's my main garment. It's made completely out of velvet, green velvet. It's actually, my color is olive green and hyacinth purple. The main thing that's very important when it comes to this garment is sheer and velvet. It's called the record blouse for a reason, because the stitching, it's like if you have a vinyl record, or if you just search up a vinyl record, when the disc is played on a record player, the marks are left. So the stitching is done according to that. So this and my skirt and my other main piece is my corset blazer suit. It's inspired by Bianca Jagger, 1975. In this case, it's a corset that can be opened and removed and put on again. So it has the stitching and the lining, everything to look like a power suit for a woman. Those are my garments, but also my promotional items. My promotional items, everything, it's to do with the rock and roll. Everything to do with rock and roll. So my bag over there, it's done with. It's inspired by a record, like a record player, record disc. And my box is actually the boxes you put all tape and film in. My other packaging, it's inspired by the jockey bag. It's when DJs and rock and roll player, anyone who has a good record player, takes their discs away and when they travel with it, it's inspired by the portable bag. Also, my swing tags and my security tags are inspired by concert tickets, like the Rolling Stones and the Led Zeppelin all have the very signature concert tickets with the end fringe on the side, so it's inspired by that. My color palette also, it's inspired by concert lights, the hues and the smoke, the different pinks and the purples, so that's what inspired this a lot this time. So the future plans for my brand and me are a bit different, but also on the same track. The future plans for my brand, the House of Yes, I hope one day it will be a more sustainable and unisex brand that will create an entire community in Colombo, also globally. But for me, for right now, In the near future, I hope to get some work experience. I'm more towards the merchandising, branding aspect of everything, advertising, stuff like that. But hopefully one day the goal is to start my brand like the House of Yes. Hopefully it will be the House of Yes. And move forward from there onwards. And once again, this is a very personal thing for me. It's more of a passion than a project at this point. You know, it's just like a community. So just to conclude, my brand is a community-based retail experience, not just about the garments. It's just about bringing people together with the same creative mindset who can think alike and talk alike and just, you know, be yourself. So I hope that you got everything needed. Thank you.
I'm a final year fashion design and marketing student at AOD. My design style is more into oversized geometrical silhouettes, and I'm focusing mainly on function-focused garments. After the second year of study, I have mainly focused on menswear. As you can see in the background, this is my final collection barber. The initial idea was generated from how a person optimizes and interacts with this living space, and how the personal space or the distinct zones around the body works. Also aligned with that, I have researched about how the protective structures, either natural or built protective structures, help humans to live a comfortable and protective lifestyle. So I want to create something to improve the existing space of human by introducing more adaptive and transitional designs. So the collection, for the collection inspiration, I have taken biomimicry, biophilic designs and biophilic inspired architecture, and for the vintage garment references, I have took vintage protective gear, mainly vintage diving suits and hazmat suits and gas suits. Also for the contemporary research, I have did technical wear. So if I took my brand together into 3 words, it's transitional, adaptive and function focused. So for the final project, I have manufactured 4 garments, including 1 signature look. The signature look contains the jacket and the short. So my main jacket can be worn into 3 different ways, with the long sleeves or without the sleeves, and detachable. There's a detachable pocket in front, so you can remove it. Also, there's a concealed hood inside the collar, so anyone can wear the hood without the hood or with hood. And also the short contains a detachable pocket as well. And aligned with that, I have created a supportive garment with a adjustable sleeve jacket and a pant. So after the garments, I have created a promotional item line as well. Bags, I have created bags with factory waste. So there are waste bags, tote bag and bottle covers. So that's how the collection came out. My future plans, for now, I want to work in the industry to gain more knowledge and experience to create my own brand in the long run. Thank you.
My name is Satindra Vijayapura and I am a fashion designing and marketing student. Since childhood, I fancied fashion a lot, and I had to play a big role in my siblings' outfits and my outfits. And I paid attention to each and every detail since I was a kid, to each and every outfit of myself. So here I am graduating next year, 2021. So here I am presenting you my brand, AUL. AUL means acceptance, equality, unity and love. AUL is a brand that revolves around a specific market segment, and the sole inspiration behind AUL is the LGBTQ+ community. As the LGBT community being my sole inspiration, AUL aspires to generalize each and every details of my product to show the world, to the society, to overall accept this gender acceptance and also the LGBTQ communities, all these different communities, to accept all of them. AUL aspires to do that. So how does AUL help the overall gender acceptance and overall acceptance of these different communities? Well, it depends on how my techniques of the product is specifically done. So I personally, when I was creating AUL, when I was creating this brand, I wanted this brand to be a brand that is open to everybody, not just a specific area, not just a specific gender or specific. I wanted this to be done to all of y'all, so it is genderless and ageless, so anybody can wear my garments. So when I was doing that, I had to make sure that it's not very obvious, and it was not very because I did not want this brand to be a protest. I wanted this brand to be a beautiful brand. While wearing this brand, I want y'all to pass a positive message. So AUL being acceptance, equality and unity and love, there is a deeper meaning behind my print. So how the print was invented was the LGBTQ flag was the sole inspiration, but the difference that I have done here is I have taken the pastel shades of the LGBTQ community flag and I have made the print while choosing 3 specific main colors, which is orange, purple and beige. So these 3 specific colors are in the print while the flag is outside, as you can see. It can be clearly seen throughout the whole process of this. While this garment has a basic feature, like just one plain color, don't be fooled by it, because inside the jacket you actually get to see the print of the whole AUL print, the famous print, the main print of the brand is inside the garments. So while talking about the basic colors, of course if you look at my lineup, there are other outfits that has my print, which consists of my print. So while showcasing this print, it's basically to help the minor yet progressive communities to overall accept it, for everybody to overall accept that community and go along with it. Because in South Asia, if you talk about it in general, about these communities that are there in South Asia, it's not a secret that everyone is not very keen on these communities. Not everybody is accepting, not everybody is, I do not wish to say, but some part of South Asia is still homophobic. So to avoid that situation, to avoid that whole generation, to avoid those negativity, this AUL aspires to do that. The future plans for AUL is basically to create a different lineup to different outfits, looking at the general public's point of views as what the general public would like to AUL to produce in general. While looking at those things, also AUL would like to discuss all the other issues that are to be shown in the LGBT community, as well as other problems, and to be inspired by them and to create a more positive side and to pass a more positive side for the issues as a solution. AUL aspires to do that throughout the clothing by either changing the prints a bit, but AUL, which is acceptance, equality, unity and love, which will be there, but the print might change here and there with text or colors or in different ideas. While AUL looks into these specific issues and creates prints and everything, AUL also aspires, when the brand is known and when the general public and my target audience is comfortable with the brand, AUL aspires to give 15% of what is received to the less unfortunate and to the less issues that needs to be addressed, these sensitive issues that doesn't get addressed much. AUL aspires to look into it more and make use of it and help those less fortunate people. So that's it when it comes to my brand, and I hope you can understand and I hope you get it while what has been done here.
from fashion design and marketing. I'm more of a local artist with a modern twist, and my color palette represents my personality. Pastel shades are in my favor, which is beige, mint green, blue, blush pink, and so on. My final major project is about giving a slow life and a healthy lifestyle to working women who are stuck during this prevailing situation. My initial inspiration was my mother, who did work, gardening, cooking at the same time. She had a balanced lifestyle, but she was not stress-free. So I wanted to do something to make her calm herself down. And my historical references are from 1970s Pirare style, contemporary Dals van Noten. Pirare style inspired me to do Biralu. As I said that I am a local craft with a twist of modernism, I used Biralu into my garments. The Aspati name itself represents a woman who has thousands of value systems. As a woman myself, I have a lot of personalities, a lot of value systems, namely loyalty, courageous, and being humble. 1,000 petals in Daspati name itself represents a woman's lifestyle and her value system. I'm in favor for women. I have carefully curated a stress-free lifestyle within the collection, and I have added Sri Lankan indigenous medicine into the buttons. Detailing is a most part of my brand. The techniques I have used throughout my collection is Biralu, and I have infused cinnamon, turmeric and other herbs into buttons. They are the main signature details in my garments. I have used linen to spread comfortability and fragrances to calm these beautiful women's souls down. I have used promotional items within my brand, namely oil burner kit, which you can keep by your side to make yourself stress-free, soap which has herbs infused, sprout pencils. When you're done writing, you can plant it for yourself and plant trees. So I'm in favor of gardening. Daspati's main aim is to give a stress-free life to all women, globally and locally. Thank you.
I'm a final year fashion design and marketing student here at AOD. My design style would be comfortable, contemporary, modern wear, and I also love working around prints and bright solid colors. This is my final major project. The name of my brand is Angana. It is a contemporary luxury women's wear brand where its silhouettes were inspired by 1980s denim wear, vintage Sri Lankan wear and also contemporary streetwear. I've also used Sri Lankan heritage in my garments by doing all the prints in batik. Talking more about the prints, I've used animal prints in my collection, and yes, these are not the usual animal prints you see out there. I've used elephant paw prints, prints from an Albion turtle shell, and also prints from a star tortoise. I'm happy to say that Angana is the first ever brand to come up with these animal prints. Moving on to the sustainable part of my brand, I've used denim in my collection. Denim is one of the most versatile garments out there, yet it causes a lot of problems to the planet Earth. So in my brand, I've used denim cutouts, damaged denim rolls, and second-handed denim garments, and I've treated them with bleach and dye, and I've incorporated that into my collection to give a modern touch to my garments as well as give life to the used denim. All in all, my brand is not just a brand, it is a brand with a purpose, where it is working towards helping preserve the crafts of Sri Lanka and help the local artisans sustain their livelihoods, and also help preserve the wildlife of Sri Lanka, and also to become a brand that is becoming sustainable every way possible. Moving on to the products I've done in my brand, I've created a homeware section alongside with the brand. Here I have some clay jewelry holders, some ceramic plates, some hand-painted cushion covers, and also wooden and glass-scented candles. I've also included some of the prints from my main collection into some of the products as well. Moving on to my packaging, all the packaging in my brand are also 100% sustainable. As my future plans, I am looking forward to working under a recognized brand and gain exposure and experience, and hopefully in the future to launch my own brand. Thank you.
My name is Aaron and I am a final year fashion marketing student at AOD, and this is Construct, my collection. To start off, my design style, I'd say for the Sri Lankan market, is very unique and is not seen around much locally. From the way I dress, you don't see it much when you walk around Colombo, and that's the whole idea of my brand, Construct. I go for a whole dark color scheme because I think that it shares much more brightness than a bright color, if you think about it. What my final project is about is simply to bring light to what needs to be heard or said. This collection by Construct is called Made to be Seen, and the reason why I stuck with this is because I think that there are some words that are meant to be seen more than to be heard. Construct is a brand that is based around incidents that occurred during the past years throughout history and are still going to occur in the future, but it is what it is. From walking down the street in Colombo, just to seeing someone wear a piece of clothing and being judged by it, that's what Construct is all about. To being judged on what you wear, in a good way, but not in a bad way. The whole idea of this was to share light upon people who are afraid to raise their voices, but also through the clothing. If you take a look at most of this clothing, it's very dark, but also share a shade of light that is projected through by reflective clothing and luminous colors. The style is very simple. There's not much to it, but I think that's the whole point of it. The reason why I made such simple clothes is because I find that people crave for stuff like this, and in the Sri Lankan market there aren't many clothing lines that produce garments like this, and I think it could do well. What we have is just simple t-shirts, hoodies, sweaters, shorts, which our generation and upcoming generation crave for. Based on upcoming trends and all, people really want that to happen, want clothes like this, so I think it's really good. And the whole idea of adding my thumbprint to my logo would mean that I am a part of whatever they stand for. The whole idea of this is to stand for things that aren't heard. The texture to the fingerprint to whatever sayings are on it, there's a reason behind everything, and I want that to get through to people. My whole vision of this, for example, I walk down the street of Colombo and I would see people staring at me for what I wear. So I thought, okay, why not just use that for a better purpose and make garments that people stare at you, but when they do stare, there's something on it that projects a message and wants people to be, okay, this needs to be done and move on in life. That's the whole idea of Construct. We just want to construct this world to be a better place to live in. It's as any other clothing brand to do well in the future, and I think that my garments and this brand could be carried on to be one of, I'm not going to boast it, but I think it will be a popularity among the younglings and the upcoming generation with the way things are right now. And yeah, this is Construct.
Amanda Karim from Fashion Marketing, graduate. I'm a graduate. About my design and my aesthetic, personally, this project was about bringing your personality out there. So my personality is mainly surrounded by colors, and they said connect with something that's personal to me. So I thought of books. Books are something that I am connected to always, and I read a lot of books, mainly in the genre of illustrative books. And when I thought of my childhood, I loved Roald Dahl books, and there were a bunch of illustrative books. So I thought, why don't I take this into my consideration and build a whole brand based on it. And my style is more of very casual, a very schoolgirl kind of look. So I thought of bringing in something like a bomber jacket from the schoolgirl, like 90s schoolgirl type, where usually girls borrow their boyfriend's jackets, varsity jackets, and wear with their mini skirts and like shirts and stuff with sweaters or anything like that. I went with the whole pastel aesthetic to remind the whole childhood vibe. Like when we look at my color palette, it mainly makes you think about ice cream truck. So that was my idea. Like everyone who looks at this will think of like cotton candy or ice cream or something like that. So that's my concept. That's my concept of my collection and the color palette and the aesthetic. But the story behind my brand, which is Minty Youth. Minty to show the fresh, and the youth is because I'm catering to a younger generation who is around my age, around 18 to 25 max. So, but mainly even though it's around that age, I'm catering to the the East Asian segment. So Minty Youth, the reason to start Minty Youth is it's a thrift vintage store. So Sri Lanka doesn't have a lot of thrift stores. It's because like we are always told by our parents that we aren't allowed to wear second-hand clothes nor borrow clothes from others. So it's mainly about a mindset change. So since it's a new concept to Sri Lanka, it's famous all around the world. I thought, why can't Minty Youth start and change for a better future? Because thrift second-hand could be the next luxury, and it could be the first step to being sustainable rather than, I mean, there are brands who are sustainable, who create fabrics and stuff which will last longer, but we see fashion is the second most polluted industry. So why not reuse and like give life to second-hand garments and make it more nicer? So mainly my fabrics are actually upcycled fabrics which are sent to factory waste. So I hunted them down and I took them, and even the leather that's on my jacket, the blue color part, so that's also like part of a wasted, it was gone for waste because a lot of people don't use leather because they're against leather, but people who do like leather, I have done. And the embroidery you can see it's a lot of faces. So the reason for it is that the prints are extracted from childhood imaginary faces, and in the dress there is like a lot of like signs. It's actually eyes. So that originated from my childhood, which Sri Lankan parents usually like do the evil eye ritual because we were known to do that since we were little. So I thought, why, and the evil eye, they have like a specific eye with a color. I thought, why not make it colorful, add more shapes and like change it a bit? That would look pretty cool and interesting. And my accessories are mostly, I incorporated the butterfly because butterfly connects our childhood. All children like butterflies. And as part of my other promotional products, I thought of using candles and notebook, which is made out of fabrics which are being wasted as well, all leather for people who love leather. And as well as I have coasters which are made out of sunflowers, because the dress, the yellow is extracted from exactly a sunflower yellow. So that's why I've been using that. And Minty Youth is actually a sustainable brand. We just want to create garments using upcycled fabrics and give life to second-hand garments as well. And we do have vintage items as well. That's to give life to them as much as like it's been thrown away. We can source a lot of vintage items which are valuable in Sri Lanka and give life to them as well. So Minty Youth really hope to expand more, collaborate with funky brands like Lazy Oaf and cool fun brands to give more life to it. And the future for Minty Youth is actually, I hope to continue this as much as it's just my final major project, but Minty Youth will definitely continue furthermore. And apart from that, I hope to really work with fun, cool brands actually.
And this is my final major project. If I am to talk about my signature style or aesthetic, I think it's more of an experimental process, more of an experimental journey. I don't like to frame myself within a box. I always get inspired with what I see every day, people I meet and conversations I have. It always feeds into my designs without me knowingly, sometimes maybe knowingly. As you can see, my designs are always inspired by colors. So before I get into a design process, there's always a color grid that is designed, which feeds into my designs. And a lot of my friends might say that I'm very much of a messy designer, which is so true. Before any design process, I first look into the textiles. That's where I create my story, and that eventually becomes my signature style and my aesthetic. And all my designs, I like to keep it very much authentic, and I like to have a personal approach into my designs, which makes it quite unique and something for everyone to enjoy. So my brand is Sita. Sita is about redefining what it means to be a South Asian woman. Basically redefining what and who I am as a South Asian woman, without any society's perspectives or boundaries or labels on our gender, our appearance in the society. If I'm to put it simply, it's about breaking the toxic patriarchal ideology that is placed on us as women, as our gender, on our bodies. And sometimes these myths and sometimes these beliefs, ideologies does not make sense. But we don't question it, we don't ask why, because it has been inbuilt in our society and it's been rooted in our generations for many and many and many years and generations. So we never tend to question it. But being lived and born and grown in a South Asian country, our culture is very much traditionally and culturally embedded, which is so beautiful, and it all embeds into my designs. But Sita is about celebrating us as women and our bodies without any boundaries of the society putting boundaries on us or keeping us in a box. It's about us reaching our best limits as women. Sita is a streetwear label for women in Sri Lanka especially, and the whole brand revolves around a cultural piece of fabric called a sari, and the process of collecting this fabric is what becomes Sita, the process. So basically what we do is we collect these saris. All of these garments are made out of saris, and these saris are collected by women all over Sri Lanka from different cultures, from different religious backgrounds, from different geographical placements. But the beauty of it is to know what does it mean for that specific individual, to know about what does it mean for her to wear a sari as an individual without any society's perspectives or boundaries on, okay, what is a sari? What do you mean when you wear? What does it mean to be a woman when you wear a sari? So it's the process of collecting these saris and having conversations, meeting these people and knowing their individual perspective feeds into these designs. And in the process of making these garments, we try to make the garments keep the sentimentality alive within these garments. So all the process of manufacturing, the craft and element and all of these feeds into the brand Sita.
I'm a fashion design and marketing student at AOD. My signature style would be garments that are made with intricate detailing, with strong conceptual meaning. So, her is a lingerie brand that is inspired by the contactless culture, which arose during the pandemic. Because people were deprived of touch, I have closely studied the positives and negatives of touch. The aim of her is to provide soothe through the tactility. So through that, I have infused a healing crystal called tourmaline, which provides soothe to all, which is infused in all of my garments, which provides soothe. All my garments are inspired by the Devadasi girls and the untouchability in India. All the garments are skin closed and the fabrics are carefully curated in order to make the wearer feel like wearing second skin. By the growth period of a hip-hopy person, and Beeraloo is incorporated in order to uplift the artisans, and especially during this time, and also to preserve the local craft. Promotional items provide soothe to the sensors, so the candle provides soothe to the nose, the soap provides soothe to the skin. The jewelry here is engraved with tourmaline crystals, and there is a tint of the Beeraloo signature Beeraloo pattern inside it. All these garments resemble a strong woman, and these garments are made for women by a woman. My future plan is to work in the industry and get the industry exposure, and after a few years I'll be doing my master's.
Marketing student at AOD. So my signature style is mainly towards modern day drapery, moulaging, working with silk silhouettes, vibrant colors and prints. So this is my brand. My brand is Aakar. Aakar arose with the recent pandemic. The recent pandemic which resulted in an abrupt change in people's lifestyles, compelling them to act quickly. This resulted in a grievous mental health downfall. Therefore, people got so stressed out. Therefore, Aakar creates an artistic space for the Gen Z and millennial market. This craft space created by Aakar is inspired by the quarantine life activities people did during quarantine. So people can come in and work with the local artisans and ease their stress. So my brand is a wellness loungewear collection providing experiences through product inspired by local nostalgia. This collection is a concept-led textile-focused brand where all of these pieces are naturally dyed, naturally hand-dyed, and the colors are obtained from waste, from flower waste obtained from temples, and also hand-picked wild berries from my own garden. So for each piece created, I've planted a tree. So for my promotional items, I have local nostalgic inspired promotional products, where I have a skincare line with 4 lip balms, narang, lovi, tamarind and raw mango, all authentic local fruit flavors, which not only smells like the authentic fruit but also tastes like it. Then I have a moisturizer, the mangosteen moisturizer, which blends onto your skin like butter. It also smells like the mangosteen fruit, which is perfect for a tropical country like Sri Lanka. And the Sarwat scrub, it also looks like a Faluda and also smells like it too. Then I have my mangosteen bag, which is made from the leftover scrap material from the collections that I have done.
So natural dyed silk, the leftover natural dyed silk, and it's hand embroidered. And the inspiration for the embroidery, hand embroidery, is the interior of the mangosteen. And for the mangosteen bag handle, I have the Agasti handle, which is made with handmade clay beads, hand painted, and then embedded with silver. So again, the Agasti handle is a local nostalgic element. So that is the mangosteen and local Agasti handle, the mangosteen bag. And then I have my jewelry line for the accessories. I have a kids collection. I have for the kids collection, I have gem biscuit earrings, bull toe earrings, and the mangosteen earrings. And for the women's wear earring collection, I have the silver made Hora Kurola earring, which has a detailing of a gem biscuit, and also the Kurumbati earring, which has a detailing of the bull toe toffee. My brand packaging, it's 100% sustainable, where the pouches are made with the leftover scrap fabric from the collections that I made. As for my future plans, I wish to work for the industry and gain more exposure, and also later on start off my own brand. Thank you.
I'm from fashion designing and marketing final year. My design style is mainly minimal and nature inspired. So as my final year project, I chose the trend natural beauty. It's beautiful in Korean. My brand name is Yeppen. Yeppen means beautiful in Korean. It's a loungewear collection. I have combined traditional Ayurveda and a natural dyeing technique in my collection. Yeppen aims to break the beauty standards prevailing in one's country. Yeppen aims to break the beauty standards prevailing in one's country. Thereby, I have combined traditional Ayurveda and natural dyeing into the collection, where I have used bamboo fabric, which has properties like UV protection, antibacterial properties, thermal control, and many more. With the combination of traditional Ayurveda, I have naturally dyed my fabric, where I have used Ayurvedic herbals like turmeric, neem leaves, butterfly pear, cabbage, and many more. I have added embroidery into the clothing as it adds value into the collection, and also in ancient Korea they believe that embroidery adds beauty into the clothing. In the future, my aim is to start my brand and develop it. Thank you.
Tani Fernando, and I'm a final year fashion design and marketing student. My signature style would revolve it being around streetwear that is futuristic, technically oriented, and definitely something along the aspect of it being experimental, where I combine textures together in order to create new textiles. My illustration style would follow along the lines of realism, with a mixture of character art and development, as every one of my illustrations on my lineup has its own name, power, and life to it. Through the course of my degree, I learned to explore and branch out into new concepts that I wasn't familiar with earlier, but fell passionately for it as I learned more about it. One of the key concepts was about esports culture and virtual reality. Following through to this year with key design and research elements from last year, I take it a step forward in order to research about the underlying issues in the gaming industry and that happen in games as well. With the first issue being the objectification and the underrepresentation of women in the gaming industry, and the second issue would be the lack
of diversity and cultural representation in games. And this is where my brand, Counterbound XD, also known as CBXD, will step in order to bind the two worlds of gaming and cyber creation, along with the Sri Lankan culture and heritage. In order to find fashion and retail-based solutions to create a phygital fashion space, which would mean it's present physically as well as digitally. And this will embody inclusivity, as the consumers will be able to buy into the brand regardless of their gender, race or nationality. Another design-based solution CBXD has to offer is its strong outerwear garments that are high in durability and which are oversized. Which brings me to another key feature of my garments, which is the textile created for it. That is a material called coverloom embroidered on top, and the embroidery design was inspired by the Sri Lankan Bumbara weave and a combination of the gaming pixels as well. Moving on to the color palette, which is one of the main things about my lineup, which was inspired by the new Sri Lankan currency as well as vintage arcade game consoles. Another aspect I would like to add is my logo, which was a combination of both English and Sinhala letters fused together to create my brand. For my promotional items, I dive into a more digital aspect where I create garments on Cloth 3D and animate it along with my concept stores that embody the ambience and gives out a very futuristic vibe that I aim to create for my brand. For the second digital aspect of my brand, I incorporate AR, augmented reality, in order to create an Instagram filter to give the consumer an experience of seeing what the brand is like before buying into it. And the second AR feature that I used is the Cloth 3D boards here, which bring out the garment to life. Physical promotional items that I made for my brand in order to style my look would be the earrings that I've created and the cyberpunk mask shell, which were both laser cut on acrylic. So for my future plans, I'm very excited to explore the digital realm of fashion and see the opportunities that lie for me there. And also I'm very keen on working in the industry as well and gaining some experience for long term in order to someday make this brand successful.
Mera Yusuf, and I'm a final year fashion design and marketing student. Here I am introducing to you Arkhani. Arkhani is an upcycling sustainable Sri Lankan brand that caters to a very niche yet growing market in Sri Lanka, that is the people who are growing an interest towards sustainability. My project revolves around sustainability mainly because it is no secret that the fashion industry is one of the biggest polluters in the world, and it is our duty, being the upcoming designers, to step on it. The fabric that I'm using is mostly almost upcycled, and I do this by collecting old used and unused shirts and unplugging the seams of their shirts and bringing them back to the original pattern. The patterns are then laid to form a quilt, and that is our main fabric. Each shirt, each pattern has a story of its own, and that is what Arkhani is all about. Arkhani means story. Arkhani empowers the women in Sri Lanka, the local artisans, to make the outfits because it is high time that they get their due recognition for all their hard work. The garments that I've created here is this one oversized hoodie dress. You can see that the shirt patterns come in different components and in the form of patchwork. Why patchwork? Because patchwork is one technique that utilizes most of the fabric, most of the waste cut-off fabric that's available, and you can put it anywhere in the outfit and it gives you a beautiful piece. This is the oversized hoodie dress, and it comes in different layers and components. and the other outfit is a two-piece outfit. This is a slipper zit top and a slipper zit trouser. You can see the patchwork shirts in patterns come in different components, and that's how the outfits have been made. The accessories that I also made are some bags. I have made 4 different bags, and all 4 of them have different purposes and different uses. That one is a reversible tote bag, and it reverses into 2 different sides. And there is this one Japanese tote bag, and this is the statement piece of the accessories in my brand. And then I've also made some promotional items, which is a shoe box. It comes in the letter A, and the shoes come on either sides of the panels because A stands for Arkhani. Arkhani helps the world bring out a community, and we hope for the better and hope that people will help us reach our goal. And in the future, I really hope to take Arkhani to floors and reduce pollution in the world. Thank you so much.
Gaspe, a fashion design and marketing student, and I'll be graduating in 2021. Going to a design school and becoming a fashion designer was one of my dreams since I was a kid, and that's what got me here. So my final major project is a reflection of myself. I was inspired by the 1980s power suits. How and why women wore suits led me to research about gender discrimination and gender inequality. And at that point, I was brainstorming how I could relate it to myself and was a message that I could cater to the society. So the problem I identified was women's participation in martial arts. As a female karate player myself, I've experienced people's judgmental conclusions regarding women's involvement in martial arts and misconceptions of how women should not do certain things which only men can do. So as a solution for this, I came up with my brand Momkra, which is derived from martial arts meet contemporary ready-to-wear apparel of women empowerment. Momkra is a suit brand based on women empowerment and is manufactured with soft and luxurious velvet fabrics and heritage fabrics. The aim of the brand is to make a local female community that is empowered and emancipated from the vicious holes of the political, economical, and gender-biased society. In fact, to break gender stereotypes through clothing. Therefore, Momkra is a concept-led women's ready-to-wear brand that's inspired by 1980s power dressing. I've also designed and created a signature jewelry piece, which is a cuff bangle using sterling silver, and engraved my brand logo in it. The design of the jewelry is inspired by the karate style Kyokushin, which means the ultimate truth. From that, I looked into the inspirational bird that resembles truth, an owl, and started developing my designs based on that. I've also designed a cufflink button using sterling silver for my signature garment, which is the off-white velvet pantsuit. The design of the cufflink button is a simplified version of the cuff bangle. So as my future plans after the degree, I'm planning on working for an established fashion brand and probably start my own brand in another 5 years of time. Thank you.
I'm a fashion marketing and design student, and for my final year major project, I have made a brand called Sianya. Sianya is a gender fluid streetwear to beachwear brand, and it's always been inspired by people because undoubtedly all of us have real insecurities and real problems, and Sianya caters to all those problems that we have, because for me it's always about having the best times in our garments. That's what clothes are for. So when I looked at swimwear garments, sometimes we can't have fun, and I want it to be something that like you don't have to like worry about what you're wearing, or is there a slip, or like am I covered up enough, or anything like that, or all the insecurities like stretch marks or whatever it is. Especially for the gender fluid community, I don't see a lot of brands catering to swimwear needs. So I have created a brand that is neither male or female, and it doesn't like categorize genders, and it's all gender fluid, and it especially looked at a lot of problems like chest blinding and tucking and even body positivity issues, because body positivity means so many different things for so many different people. It could be showing up, it could be covering up, and it's like on different days, it's what we feel like on different days we want to cover up, on other days we want to like show more skin. So I wanted a brand that can like cater to all those needs, and also that you can wear on the street and breathe at the same time, because when you love a garment, that's also like a point of sustainability where you can have a versatile kind of garment. And talking about sustainability, all of my swimwear garments are made out of dead stock fabrics or Econil fabrics or reprieve fabrics, because plastic is a huge issue. And even for the campaign and the promotion of my brand, so I did a bag that because sustainability is a major point for Sianya. The way to go for promotion for my brand is by promoting boxed water and replacing it in stores and hotels, because we have plastic bottles everywhere, and having a bag with that's like, and replacing it in stores and hotels, and promoting the switch to boxed water instead of plastic water. And to help carry that practice, we have created a bag that you can carry that's exactly for the size of the boxed water. And that's how I want to promote my brand, because I want to be known as a brand that cares, that's not just using recycled plastic materials, but want to communicate it to my customers as well. And even when you're like having an item that helps you like remember, okay, I should use a box instead of a bottle, then it also builds a community that cares, and that's really important for me, because I want to incorporate Sri Lankan artistry into my brand. So I love the art of handloom and empowering the artisans. So all of these garments that are jackets and pants and skirts, they're all made of handloom garments that is like hand woven by Sri Lankan artisans. And because I also love working with denim, and there's a lot of denim that goes to waste, I love to drape denim into different garments. So all the denims that gets like rejected from the quality checks, I buy all those garments and individually drape each one and make it into investment pieces with handloom craft fabric. And so my vision and goal for Sianya is to build a community, an inclusive and gender fluid community in Sri Lanka, because it has been a global movement, but in Sri Lanka it's still a struggling and thriving moment that has a lot of potential. So I want a community that's not just inclusive but also conscious about the environment. And the community doesn't have to be just about the customers. I want it to include all the artisans and everyone who works behind my brand. And I want a place where they can all come together, a name that they can always call home and feel comfort in my brand. So my hope for Sianya is that everyone who owns a Sianya garment and puts it on will feel so happy and will love their bodies and feel so comfortable, and they can have the best times in life and not worry about anything else, and just have the best memories and the best times, just like all of my friends and models did when they were trying on these garments. They were really happy about what it did to their bodies and how happy they felt and how flattering it is. So I hope that it brings to a smile to everybody and everyone feels confident and positive in my garments. Thank you.
Surya. I'm a fashion designer and marketer. Did fashion marketing in AOD for like 4 years. My design style is more like mixed casual wear and performance wear. Well, I was like, through my years in AOD, I learned a lot about fashion and marketing. So I came up with designs to improvise avant-garde and tech wear. So overall, like throughout my course, I also developed print, and I came with the idea to have different prints on my clothing, mostly print, but on the avant-garde style. Yeah. So For aesthetic wise, this is all mixed casual wear, avant-garde, tech wear, all that together combined with print. Print as in print taken from popular media or protests or anything happening around the world right now. Marketing project for this year, I combined some of my last year work with some illustration on print and work on my avant-garde, and came up with a clothing line called Speak. Speak is all about supporting protests, activism and many global movements happening right now. So regarding this, I designed a line just for that with print and mixed casual wear. As like a tailored skirt, there's a casual t-shirt with print and or some print on trouser. So it's all about my work in print mostly. So about products and stuff, I just did necklaces. So I don't have it in right now, but it's here badges and stuff I did for products. Yeah. About my future plans as a fashion marketer, I want to further explore into print, more like trends on print and protests, because it's a part of my brand, and explore further into fashion. Yeah.
Sriwardana, and I'm a final year fashion marketing student at AOD. So when talking a little bit about myself, my personal aesthetic and style is built around minimalism, monochrome colors, soulful and timeless fashion, and I think I portrayed it through my collection. So my brand is Solace, and Solace is all about comfort or consolation in a time of distress or sadness. The main inspiration behind the collection and the brand is the sea, because I believe it can relax and calms you down at any time, because personally it does the magic for me every time. So this whole collection was born, I mean the concept came to my mind during the pandemic times, because I think that's when we needed solace the most in our lives. So we all know the pandemic put on hold to almost everything in our lives, including new beginnings like wedding. So that's why I thought of creating a bridal collection for the brand Solace. The collection is initially inspired by the sea, as I told before, and also Bohemian culture. I chose Bohemian culture because it gives this relaxing, calming, freedom vibes which I'm going for, and I think it did justice to my collection. So basically it is a beach boho bridal collection, and the details of the attires like frills and the volume is taken from the sea, and I have used macrame craft to give the boho hint. I use macrame craft mainly because of Bohemian inspiration, but also because it is an underrated craft which need to bring awareness to. And for the brand, I made this gift box called Woohoo Box. It's funny because the name Woohoo came from the event of getting engaged, because that's where you officially become a bride-to-be. So this gift box is the main promotional item for my brand, because its customer base is huge when compared to the collection. So the gift box is my main promotional item because its customer base is huge when compared to the collection. So I created this as a portal to attract customers' experience as well as move along with my brand. As for the future, I'm looking forward to work in the industry to gain experience, as well as moving along with the brand to create some different collections like casual wear to evening wear. Thank you.
And I'm a final year fashion design and marketing student. My brand has a relaxed silhouette fit as well as a minimalistic look, and all garments are naturally dyed. My brand, Reactive, is an athleisure wear brand that is sustainable and is focused on wellness-focused consumers, athletes and tourists.
The brand is mainly focusing on them because we like to promote active and leisure wear at the same time. My brand Reactive is a eco-conscious, sustainable athleisure wear brand that focus on wellness conscious athletes who wants to be functional enough to work out as well as relaxed enough to socialize. My brand was inspired by my lifestyle where I had to travel into different occasions and different venues and had to change occasionally. So I thought, why not create a brand that I could wear the same outfit all day, every day. One of the main techniques Reactive used was natural dyes that has antibacterial effects to it. When researching, Reactive found out that Sri Lanka doesn't have dyes that give out the perfect color that the brand wants. So we had to import the dyes from India, from the Himalayas. That not only that, we found that all those flowers, roots, trees gave us the antibacterial element we were finding for, as well as the colors we were finding for, such as the charcoal, the indigo, turkey red, olive green, and many more. So while we were doing the dyeing process and experimenting, we found out that there are many dye folding techniques, and we followed a technique called shibori, which is a Japanese folding technique, and Japanese always used indigo to when dyeing using that technique. So I decided to use it on one of my garments. Reaction products on towards the sustainable side. For example, for metal straws, we started promoting bamboo straws because bamboo straws take a lesser time to compose than metal straws. The soap we use, as well as the candles, the scent, the color, all were used with natural dyes that helped to exfoliate and has unharmful ingredients, so it is environmental friendly as well as can be used in all skin types. So the soap, we have two types of soap, which is the normal soap bars, and we also have travel friendly packs that can be easily be accessed while traveling without having to carry an entire soap. As for the soap, we have the entire bar as well as travel friendly packs that can be used while traveling. It is cut in small shapes so that it is easy to be accessed and you won't have a messy watery bag. So the brand started to introduce wax sachets as well as potpourri instead of mothballs, so that you would have a safe environment for your pets and as well as your kids. As it is travel friendly, you can carry it on your inside your bag, inside your car, or even hang it on your child's crib. Reactive also provides yoga mats and duffel bags that can be customized and dyed in your own color and can be dyed by yourself in the long run. As for my future plans, the main brand, which has many sub-brands, Reactive as well as Retime, will be introducing their new collection relaunch before December 2021. And also I am planning to do my master's in digital marketing in the UK.